Hey guys, JJ back at this time to give you a free pick for Sunday Night Baseball, April 28th. Astros versus the Indians. Carrasco versus Wade Miley. Seeing the line right now, Astros minus 117. Total 8.5. So we dropped the Mets to move to 17-7 against the spread in MLB. We still have won 3 or 4 on the channel though. And you see, for me, it's all about eliminating risk. I tell people who make 5 to 10 bets per day the same message. You'll basically never win long term doing so. The juice is just going to eat you up. Now, it's different if you're someone who's shopping two-sided lines at multiple books to try to grab some vig in your favor or some edge in your favor that way. But I'm merely referencing the people who make their 5 to 10 legit bets per night. My advice to them is always take 2 to 3 of those bets, maybe the 2 or 3 you like the most, and just bet more money on them. So it accommodates your what would be 7 to 8 play payday. Look, here's the thing. If you want to be a degenerate, all the power to you. I'm not here to judge you, but you can't be a degenerate and then cry about your losses and be so emotionally invested, and then talk about how every tout you follow on anything always loses your money. Here's what I'll tell you. If you've been following this channel specifically for the last 6 months, you'd be well up over 25 units. Again, 20-8 in NFL plus 10 units, plus more than 10 units. 20-8 in college basketball plus over 10 units. 17-7 thus far in baseball plus over 8 units. It may not seem like a lot, but you see the shortage of plays is in fact eliminating your risk. Look at this channel as basically or practically fire insurance for an industry filled with burning buildings. We're offering you the lifelines to survive long term in a dangerous industry. Do I sell you the world? No. Never. Do I ever tell you, do I tell you that I never lose? Absolutely not. I actually do quite the opposite. I tell you losses will come and they'll come in bunches, but the process is what progresses us forward much better than most handicappers. Look, there are plenty of good handicappers out there and plenty, that I respect a lot. And I understand, if you're somebody going around following, a bunch of different handicappers, just trying to, either grab their picks or maybe just their info, or maybe just to put yourself in, in their heads, to make yourself a better handicapper. That's fine. What I need to be clear on is 60% is the goal. If you're a sports bettor expecting any better than this from anybody you're following or anybody, you're religiously, following in that manner, you're going to inevitably be let down. If you're betting 5 to 10 plays per day, long term, the VIG is going to dick slap you. If you bet 5 to 10 units on certain plays, your bankroll will suffer a stroke. If you chase losses with random bets, you and regret will become best buddies. Now, my goal is to really change the narrative of this industry because right now it's so far-fetched. It will take some time, but with your guys' help, we can definitely begin to change not just the habitual ways of a sports bettor, but make an entire paradigm shift for many people's approach on sports betting as a whole. Again, it's far too often. You lose a game here, you lose a game there. People chime in. The keyboard warriors come in, and the guys that know it all. It's just plain ignorance. You're going to lose 4 times out of 10. The best will. Just swallow that pill. And if people wonder, hey, look, why doesn't this guy want to sell picks, or what's the deal? What's the deal? I don't want to deal with the pains in the asses in this industry. It's just you have too many people that expect so much. Look, when you invest in stocks and bonds, you kind of know what your rate of return is going to be because of the history of whatever platform you're following or whatever platform you're investing in. Sports betting is a little different because there's so many different personalities, so many different models and people to follow that, it all becomes all convoluted. But again, if you're expecting any better than 60% from your handicapper you are following or handicappers you are following, you are going to be led astray. You need to be truly understanding of what this industry is and what the best can produce for you. Don't think any less or don't think any more than that. And again, I know I went on a bit of a rant there, but it's been a while since I've given you guys some helpful info on sports betting as a whole versus just the picks I give you. So I hope it serves as a good refresher for some. But more or less, like I said, long short is I have respect for a ton of handicappers and a lot of people that do the free, thankless work in this industry. And just give respect to a lot of those people. Don't be bashing them or don't be doing anything silly or stupid. Like it's crazy what this industry's become. And again, the goal is to make it better as a whole. And I hope you'll all be there for the ride for me. Okay, so now on to the game at hand for tomorrow night. So the Houston Astros will be facing the Cleveland Indians here with Carrasco versus Miley. As I said, the play here is going to be under 8.5. Now I know it's tough to swallow playing it under late on a Sunday night, where most love to chase their losses for the day with a late game hammer over. But I'll tell you, you may even want to sit on this a bit because again, I know that late money typically comes in on these Sunday night games. So just to be safe, maybe wait on it a bit. But again, I do like the game under 8.5. Here's what I know coming into this game. For one thing, Wade Miley, for Houston, he barely ever gets banged up. He has 3 straight quality starts, and he hasn't conceded more than 3 runs in 10 straight appearances. I say appearances because the back half of last year he wasn't always coming in as a starter. Needless to say, 10 straight appearances, no more than 3 earned runs. He's just a tough pitcher to get consistent hits off of. He was never like this earlier in his career, but later he's really figured it out. Now, the Indians have began to find their stride with Lindor back in the lineup, but this team just has so many lefties, and with Miley coming at you from the left side, he can be quite tough on left-handed bats. Their last start against the left-hander came against Max Fried, which they were able to put up 5 runs against, but they started 5 lefties. I just can't see them having similar success here unless they just start firing the long ball into the stands with a few guys on base. Now, on the other side, Carlos Carrasco has been stellar recently, throwing 11 straight scoreless innings. He is beginning to median out towards his skill level after just an awful start to the year. Houston's in a tough matchup as well. Houston is a tough matchup, but Carrasco has been locked in, and I really like him to ride his recent confidence pitching right into this spot. The top of this Houston lineup is potent, as I'm sure everybody knows, but they've been somewhat of a black hole at the bottom of that lineup. This could certainly help Carrasco get out of some jams tomorrow if he does find himself in a few. Now, the other favorable note here is that this series as a whole has really lacked consistent run production. There hasn't been one game in this series where either team has had more than 10 hits. The hitters on both sides just appear to be out of rhythm, out of sync in this entire series. Now, let's give some credit to the pitching, but overall, consistent string hitting just really hasn't been common over the last 3 days. We have another good pitching matchup here, and why would I assume the bats will change? Now, finally, once this game goes into the bullpens, the number 2 and number 3 teams in bullpen ERA this year are the Houston Astros and the Cleveland Indians, respectively. They have the bottom 3 lowest top 3 lowest ERAs in baseball today. Now, the bullpens for both have been very consistent to start the year, and again, why would I assume that changes tomorrow? Now, of course, this game could wind up going over. I'm not sitting here giving you a lock. You can buy a lock at Home Depot if you truly are in need of a lock. But the only way I see this game going over would be if either of these starters goes into like a walk frenzy. I know Carrasco can find, can end up walking guys. Miley's control is really good. He's more of a pitch to contact type of pitcher anyway. So his control is usually good, but Carrasco can sort of lose it a bit. He is very volatile at times. If he gets into a walk frenzy, or if there are home runs given up after maybe a few walks, where those home runs become 3-run shots, or a few 2-run shots. But ultimately, the consistent hitting hasn't been there this series, and you can't just assume that's going to be there tomorrow. It will be warm in Houston tomorrow night with wind blowing out towards left field, but this shouldn't be any different than the last few games. I do think many will look at this game and see the Houston Astros lineup and the Cleveland Indians lineup and just assume with 2 non-aces going at it that this total is low at 8.5, but I actually have this number as quite high at 8.5. So let's roll the favorable under here, 8.5, Houston versus Cleveland. Carrasco versus Wade Miley. Game starts 7 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you are not already. If you did enjoy the video, as always, thumbs up. And I know this video is a little longer than the most recent ones, as I went on a little bit of a tangent on in the beginning. But again, I do like to give you that refresher from time to time. Keep your head on straight. I think we all need it from time to time, even myself. So I always like to give you those little tidbits here and there. So I hope you enjoyed that piece of it. But again, it's going to be Houston versus Cleveland under 8.5. If you enjoyed the video, thumbs up as always, and drop some comments below on the games. Especially if you have any leans or anything you like. I will be happy to respond to you. Love responding to you guys. And thanks for the loyalty to date. And I'll be back tomorrow with another video.